Today we're studying parts of an experiment. So we're going to go through each of the parts of an experiment as if we were writing a lab report. So let's start with research and background. First, you want to research your topic and find out some background information. Then you're going to identify your variables and formulate a hypothesis. From there, you're going to need to make your materials list and then design a procedure with number steps. Then you're going to analyze your results and data as you gather them, and you're going to draw conclusions from that data. And if you did research, you're going to need a bibliography for your formal lab report. So let's start with our example experiment. How does light color affect plant growth? So now I need to think, well, how am I going to find out about that? I would want to research other experiments that have been done in the past. I would want to research how plants grow and how they take in light. And let's say from my research, I decide that red light is going to have better plant growth than blue light, for example. So that would be where I'm thinking. So now what are my variables in this experiment? Well, my independent variable is what you compare and what is different in the experiment. So it's the part I'm setting up. That's going to be the colored light bulbs for the different colors of light. With that information, I'm going to take it and make a graph. I'm going to set up my graph so that when I'm done with my data, it's ready to go. I'm going to have my independent variable on the x-axis, and that's colors. So independent goes on the x, and that's color of light. Then I'm going to want to find out what's my dependent. So what am I going to record, or what am I causing an effect on with my independent variable? And that would be plant growth, because I want to know how color of light affects plant growth. So my plant growth is my dependent variable. And I'm going to take that and place that on my graph on the y-axis. So plant growth is my dependent on the y, and I have my independent on the x. Now, I know my variables, so now I need to make a hypothesis. So if pea plants are grown with different colors of light, then the red light will grow the greatest, or will show the greatest growth. So I underlined different colors of light. That's my independent variable. And then growth is my dependent variable. So your hypothesis should contain words from your independent and dependent variables. Now, for a good experiment, I want to make sure I have a control or standard of comparison. I want to set it up the same, but no independent variable change. So what does that mean? If I'm testing the way light color affects growth, well, I want no color in my experiment. I want to grow a plant with light that doesn't have color. So I would use white light for my control. All right, now I need my constants. Those are things that are going to stay the same, so we don't want to mess up our experiment by watering one plant too much and one not enough. So I would want to keep things like watering consistent or constant, and then I would want to use the same type of plant. I wouldn't want to use peas for red light and daisies for blue light because there may be a different growth rate. So constants and controls are going to help make sure your experiment is valid. Next, I'm going to do my experiment. After I follow my procedure, I'm going to collect data. And data is what you have for your results. So you have qualitative, which means you use your senses. Like, for example, maybe you wanted to do an experiment and you were testing which deodorant smells better after 5 hours, or which color hurts your eyes. Those types of experiments are qualitative. You're going to use words to express your information. Quantitative is what our experiment would be using for our example. It's going to use numbers, and we're going to measure in centimeters the growth rate of a plant. So 5 centimeters, for example. So this would be a good data, an example data table. We have blue light, red light. I should have my control down here, which isn't on here quite yet, but white light. And I'd want to know what the length was after so many days. All right, so that's my data. Lastly, I want to analyze that data and draw a conclusion. So what happened in my experiment and why? Was my hypothesis correct? Did I make any mistakes? Those are the types of questions you want to ask in your conclusion. And then you want to make sure you cite any information that you looked up on the internet or from your textbook so that you're giving credit to the source of information. So just to review, let's go all the way back to the beginning. So our steps are going to be research and find background information, identify your variables and make a hypothesis, have a materials list and write your procedure and follow the steps. Then you're going to collect your results and data, and then you're going to draw a conclusion from that data. Cite your sources in a bibliography. The end.